going on here?
Hey guys, before we start the video, I just want to let you know that I've made an update to the channel name and image. I've changed the name of my channel to include my in-game name for Enlisted and War Thunder. All of my accounts will include my in-game name, Invade5, from now on. This will make it easy for you guys to know that when I'm on other platforms such as the Enlisted forums, Discord, or subreddit that it is actually me. And lastly, I've updated the channel's image of a rocket to one that, in my opinion, looks a lot better. Anyways, I hope that clears up any confusion with the channel's profile change. Let's get on to the video.
Let's get
Alright, looks like we're doing another tier list video. I know it's been a bit of a while since I've done one of these, but this one is not on the soldier classes. This is on all of the equipment that you can get. So, I'm just gonna explain the tiers really quickly, and then I'll jump in to start ranking the equipment, and I'll explain more as we get into the rankings, but for a little explanation, this is S tier. This basically are items that allow you to make plays that you just wouldn't be able to do without them. And they have to be important things like actually help you win the game, or, you know, directly win the game for your team. This is A tier. This is just staple items that you should be using, or just items that you would use on like 95% of soldier classes. And then this is B tier. This is items that are good on like the majority of soldier specialists. And then C tier is items that are mediocre on most soldiers but good on a few soldiers. And then D tier is just like, why would you use these? There are always better options. So let's start with a really easy one. We can put the medkit right here as a staple item. It has its own slot on your soldiers, and you should always use a medkit. I will say that there's limited returns on using like multiple medkits. You really want to have just one, because a medkit obviously allows you to revive. You can't do that without one, so just put a medkit on each of your soldiers. Alright, why don't we do AP mines? I would say that these could go in either of these. I would say it's an item that's good on most soldier specialists. You can't really go wrong with bringing an AP mine, especially if you have an engineer. It's always good to put an AP mine on him, because that way you can put a mine on your own rally point to prevent other people from putting mines on it. Basically, if you put an AP mine on your rally and an enemy finds your rally, if he tries to put a mine on it, the mine you put blows him up and destroys the rally so that he can't put a mine on it. So basically, it prevents you from getting spawn camped on a rally point. Afterwards, we'll do the anti-tank mine, and this is not great to have on a lot of soldiers, but you could definitely put one in each squad, and just like throw a mine down on like a road, on a bridge, and then maybe later on in the match you'll get a vehicle kill. Especially on the guerrilla class, it's good to have a couple of these, because you can get behind the enemy lines and then lay these on pathways of the enemy vehicles. Alright, next up, binoculars. I would put these in C tier as well. They're not super useful on most soldiers, but if you're playing a tank commander, they're very useful. They're fairly useful if you're playing like mortars, because you can see people further away. And they're nice for marking like a really far away tank, because you can only mark people or vehicles up to a certain distance, but if you use the binoculars you can mark them from further away. Alright. Why don't we get the small packs out of the way? Now that Enlisted has been post-merge, there's no reason to use any of these. Before, in the campaign system, the large packs wouldn't get unlocked till like level 15, so you had to use these for like the first half of your campaign levels. So there was kind of like a point to use these because you just couldn't get the better ones, but now you can have the bigger packs, so there's no reason to use the smaller ones. Alright, let's do the axe. I would say the axe is a staple item that you should usually be using. Occasionally, like on engineers, you can use shovels, and I'll talk about them in a bit, but the axe is good because it does more damage than a knife, and it allows you to charge with it. So if your weapon doesn't have a bayonet, the axe is a way that allows your soldier to still perform a rushed charge. Alright, now we can mention shovels, and they'll go here, but I'm gonna put them above binoculars. Shovels are really good on engineers for building rally points because you can dig a hole and put the rally in it. They're also alright on guerrillas because you could just dig like a ditch to trap tanks, but mainly you want these on engineers for defending your rally points. Alright, you can do tools. Tools are kind of here. You really shouldn't bring these on anyone except tankers. You can make the argument like maybe putting them on infantry to repair a friendly tank, but most of the time when your friendly tanks get hit, either one of two things or one of three things will happen. Either it'll get destroyed, either the tank crew will just bail out, or the tank will be able to reverse and then the tank player can fix himself relatively quickly because a lot of the broken modules can now be repaired from inside the tank, so the tank crew doesn't even have to leave and risk themselves, so this is pretty much only good on tankers. On tankers you really do need this, but not for infantry. Alright, let's do flasks. And flasks, I don't think they're quite extreme enough where I'd put them in S tier, but they're very, very good. Flasks give you, when you drink it, it takes about 3 seconds to consume your flask, but it gives you 1 minute of unlimited stamina when running, and increased stamina when performing a charge. So the main advantage that everyone talks about is mobility, being able to run around on the map, and that is very, very nice, but if you don't know, your stamina also affects your weapon sway. So when your soldier is very low on stamina, it's harder to control and aim your weapon. So by keeping full stamina, this not only improves your mobility, but also improves your accuracy. So it's a very, very good item. There's no downside to using it. It has its own slot, and if you can afford this, I would definitely take this on all of your soldiers. Alright, let's cover frag grenades. Frag grenades are, I guess I would put them here. They're good on pretty much all the soldier classes. They're definitely better than most of the grenades. I don't think they're as good as explosive packs, but explosive packs are pretty special because they can just blow up tanks. But frags are a lot better than, say, impact grenades. Because frags, even though you have to cook them, they have by far the largest explosive and shrapnel radius when it comes to killing infantry. So if your goal is to just frag other infantry, use the frag grenades. And then for impact grenades, these got nerfed pretty heavily after they came out, and in my opinion, they're not really worth using. They only tend to kill people if you directly hit them, or if you hit a wall within like a couple feet of them, but otherwise, typically they just injure and like give people concussions. So I wouldn't use these ever over frag grenades, but if you just want to mess around and have fun just trying to like directly hit people with these, they're fun. But again, frag grenades are just better. And the same, here, let me actually do smoke first. Smoke is actually a little bit underrated in my opinion, because even though smokes don't do damage to people, there are a lot of maps where there are like hallways, or there's like a little alleyway or a road where there's just a sight line that the smoke grenade can block off. And it's mostly good at countering people that are just like sniping. And this is situational, but if you find yourself on a map or a situation where the smoke grenade can cut off a sight line, it's going to do the job very, very well. I will say overall I think frags are a little bit better, but smoke grenades are a little bit underrated. Alright. I guess we can put molotovs here. Molotovs, if we're talking like grenades, I would say frags first. Smokes are a bit worse, and then molotovs are down here. Molotovs are good because they provide a little bit of utility for a lot of things. What I mean by that is molotovs can kind of shut down sight lines by setting them on fire. They can kind of counter tanks, because if you throw these on the engine deck of a tank, they can cause an engine fire on the vehicle, and if you throw these on like the optics of a tank, they can actually blind the sights of the tanker. But they don't really kill tanks, so they're not as good as explosive packs. They're not really specialized in anything, but if you know what you're doing, you can find little scenarios where these can help you. And last for grenades, explosive packs. These are just going immediately into the super soldier tier. This is a ranged projectile that can just one-shot a vehicle. They can kill tanks, but these are also the best way to kill an APC. If you don't know, APCs are actually very damage resistant in Enlisted, because the way that they're set up is they can't get ammo racked. It's kind of like the same system as like a tank, but because most of the APCs don't have any ammo, you can't blow them up by ammo racking them, so you have to blow up their fuel tank. And one of the weapons that seems like consistently take out APCs are explosive packs. So they are just very, very good at killing vehicles, and if you don't have this, the only way you can really kill a vehicle as infantry is with a TNT or a lunge mine, but this does it way, way better because you can throw it from range. I guess speaking of vehicle killing weapons, I'm gonna put the TNT here. It's not as good as the explosive pack, but it has the upside that you can put this in the mine slot, so you could take like a frag grenade and then still have this as a way to kill vehicles. And technically you can use the TNT on infantry, but it doesn't really work very well because it has a similar explosive radius to this, which the explosive packs are not as good as frags at killing infantry, so really you want to use this on vehicles. This isn't as good as the explosive pack because the remote TNT requires you to physically go up to a vehicle, place it on there, and then hit the detonator, and sometimes the detonator on this is bugged, like you can just hit it and it will not explode, so that's not great. But the upside is you can put this in a different slot than your grenade slot, so you could take a frag or a smoke or a molotov and then still have a way to kill vehicles. And then I guess the last one is the lunge mine. This one is not great, because the Japanese have the swords, but this is a decent weapon. Again, if you want to have like a mine and then a frag grenade, but you still want some way to kill tanks, this thing can. However, this thing will usually also kill you, and you have to run straight at the enemy tank with this, which you can do if the tank doesn't have any infantry or the tank player is very unaware, but if the tank is with a group of infantry, you usually just get shot before you can use the lunge mine. And then I guess last for like the explosive weapons, we could do the white phosphorus grenade. Oh man, the white phosphorus grenades have just been nerfed so hard, and For good reason, because I was around before these things were nerfed, and you could just run grenade bags and just spam an entire objective with these, and the enemy team could just not step on it without getting killed. But now that these have been nerfed, they basically don't do anything because their duration is super short, and the little bit of chip damage they do, in most cases, doesn't actually kill you. You can usually just run straight through these and still have like half your health. And their like phosphorous smoke effect is very translucent. It doesn't fully block a sightline. You can still shoot through these pretty easily. So it doesn't have as much area denial as a Molotov, and it doesn't block sightlines as well as a smoke. It doesn't really do anything very well, so there's never a reason to use white phosphorus grenades. Alright, in terms of the equipment, I'm actually going to put the large backpack as a very mediocre item, because what can you take with this? Well, you can take medkits, and you can take tools, and the amount of tools you have in a toolbox, you never need to take more than one of these. And in terms of medkits, taking more than one has very, what's the term, like, it's got lessening returns on them. So basically, you just want one medkit to revive, but in terms of the amount of health that these recover, your soldiers by default have 10 health, and if you have the vitality perk, they have 13.5 health points, and medkits heal for about 3 health apiece. So if you take 4 medkits and you get downed, you can heal. If you don't have vitality, you can heal to full health. If you have vitality, you can heal to 12 health points, because the first medkit revives you and gives you 3 health, and then you get 3 health from each medkit that you use, and that brings you up to 12 health points. But you have to spend, like, if you don't have the quick revive perk, you have to spend 8 seconds reviving, and then you have to spend, like, about 2.7 seconds per medkit, so you have to spend like 15 to 16 seconds just to use the medkits, and then you can just get one shot by a bolt action rifle, or a semi-auto, or a machine gun, because remember, you're only at 12 health if you have vitality and you use this, so that does not even protect you from getting one shot by most weapons in the game. And if you don't have vitality, then you're most likely to get one shot anyways, because you only have 10 health to begin with. So some people think this perk and like healing builds are really, really good. I disagree. I think it is complete cope, and you should just take vitality, and your goal should be to not get downed in the first place. In terms of the other packs, the grenade bag is definitely outshined by the large ammo pouch, but the grenade bag is, I think, the best option on any soldier that is using bolt actions. So if you're playing Battle Rating 2, this is actually very, very good, because think about what else you're going to put on your soldiers. You're not going to put the backpack on because everyone's using bolt actions, so you just get one shot most of the time anyways. And you're not going to put the ammo pouch on because you already have 20 shots with your bolt action, which is more than enough to get the job done. You don't need to bring additional ammo. But you could bring 3 grenades, and that's really, really good. As you get into higher battle ratings, you have more and more like magazine-fed, fully automatic weapons that need the extra ammo, so this definitely gets outshined. But if you're playing Battle Rating 2, this is a very strong option. And in terms of the large ammo pouch, kind of what I was saying before, if you're using something that isn't a bolt action, this is generally better. If you're using a bolt action, stick with the large grenade pouch. But especially for like assault rifles, you know, the high tier SMGs, because the bigger in Enlisted, the bigger your magazine is, the less extra mags you get. So if you have like a high capacity magazine weapon, these are even more valuable because you'll only get 1, maybe 2 magazines. So these just allow you to keep firing, not run out of ammo. And then lastly, we gotta talk about swords. Swords are going straight up here. I think you could argue that these are actually above the explosive pack, because swords give you a very, very tremendous speed boost. It's like 15 to 20%, I think, whenever you're not, you know, it doesn't apply when you're holding your weapon, but whenever you're just running around, you pull out the sword, you get 15% speed, you do like a charge with the sword, you get the charge speed bonus plus another 15%, and you stack this with the 15% sprint speed perk and the flask, and you were just moving around the map at an insane speed. This allows you to run a flank and set up a rally point way faster than you would otherwise be able to. This allows you to get on the objective and stop the enemy team from capturing it a lot quicker than if you didn't have this. So swords are really, really valuable, and the fact that Japan can just buy these for silver is a really, really big advantage. So yeah, that's my tier list on all of the equipment. I don't think I would change this at all, but obviously this is just my opinion. Well, that's going to conclude my enlisted equipment tier list. Before we go, I'd like to give a small update to my followers regarding the enlisted mods video. I'm still going to release a part 2 of the best enlisted mods, but before I could publish the video, the enlisted update that we were all waiting for got released. A lot of the follow-up video was actually just me talking about the update delays, but seeing as the update is now here, I think I need to reevaluate my thoughts and talk about the state of Enlisted as a whole in 2025. I'm going to make that video after we get a major update for Enlisted, seeing as we haven't yet had a major update since around December of 2024. Anyways, that is going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed watching this, then you already know what to do, and with that being said, my name is Joseph, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.